What's up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jasmine. My channel is changing. My channel is evolving. I'm figuring it out. I'm just creating to create. So welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about my big job. Now, I feel like I was legitimately 10 years late on big chopping. I mean, I've been on YouTube, watching YouTube regularly. Like, it's a hobby. It's something I do all the time since 2011. And that's how long it's been since I've known what big chop means, what TWA means, which is teeny weeny afro. But I hadn't thought as far as to whether I was going to be a part of this, like, big chop natural hair journey community. I'm 1 year post big chop. I have somehow managed to regrow a full head of hair, and this video is going to be more focused on the journey, the internal journey of my big chop versus kind of the external, what I did. Because the thing about hair is, like, it's gonna grow. Like, you really don't even have to worry about it. Like, it's gonna grow. It's really just about, like, retaining length and taking care of it. It's so funny because for years, like, I knew girls who wore their hair natural, and that not just that they didn't have a perm, but they actually wore their, like, natural hair all the time. Especially when I went to an HBCU, there were girls all around me who wore their hair in, like, a natural state, a buzz cut, a pixie cut, perm, not perm, you know what I'm saying? Like, one of the best aspects of going into an HBCU was being around so many Black women who were all so different. But every time I, like, saw a Black woman with, like, their naturally curly hair or not curly hair, I was always like, oh my gosh, like, I always thought it was so beautiful. And also that at the same time that, like, I wouldn't be able to pull it off. I didn't think that I had the bone structure. I didn't think that I had a pretty enough face. I didn't think that I had the time or the energy. But really, it was that I didn't have the confidence. And so fast forward to backtrack to last year. Basically, I woke up to take my weave out. And for the past, like, 10 years, I've been alternating between, like, weaves and, like, U-part wigs that I would take off at night. And that served me for that season. It took me the majority of my 20s to get through college. So while I was in school and while I always, didn't always have, like, a lot of money to be going to the shop all the time and stuff, my hair was natural in that it wasn't permed, but it was always under something. And so fast forward to 2020, man. 2020, what a year. Like, can we all just have, like, a hug with ourselves for making it to this point post 2020 alive? Like, you're doing a good job. But yeah, so 2020 arrives, and obviously, like, spending a lot more time at the house and spending a lot more time just, like, being reflective. It was the week of the revolution. You know which week I'm talking about. It was the week that the US was literally up in flames due to the injustice that people of color, especially Black people, experience at the hands of government entities such as the police. And I was just feeling very pissed. I was very pissed, both with my hair and both with the state of the world. I was like, I don't know my own hair. That was kind of like a big moment for me. I was like, I do not know what she needs. This is the longest I've ever gone engaging with my own hair without the help of anyone else. And I know it better than I ever did. But at the time, I didn't know. I didn't know what she needed, what products she likes, what I was going to do with her. And in that moment, I was like, I'm about to cut it off. And this is I had contemplated this every time I took my weave down for the last probably 5 years. Like, oh, I'm just going to cut it. Like, one day I'm going to cut my hair. And it is something that I always thought that I would do, but also didn't really believe that I would actually do. So in that moment, I was like, no, I'm not going to cut it. Like, I'm just going to figure it out. And in that moment, it was like, future me was like, well, why don't you want to cut your hair? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it that you are feeling that's preventing you from taking this step? You know, it's just hair. And in that moment, I was confronted with a lot of, my therapy was working in that moment, where I was just thinking about like why, the root of why I didn't want to cut my hair. And the root of those reasons were I wasn't confident enough to. I didn't think that I was going to be pretty with short hair. I didn't think that I would get a man if my hair was short. I didn't think that I would look like the girls that I see on the internet with short hair. And also I was afraid of like managing my own hair. Like, I didn't know if I like had the energy to do that. Sometimes I still don't know if I have the energy to do it, honestly, but that was kind of like the reasonings in my head. And then my present self was literally like, those reasons are I was like, that is ridiculous. And I marched into my mom's office and I was like, I'm gonna cut my hair. Like, I want you to cut my hair off. And it's so funny because like she had gotten done with like one side, and that one side filled up a trash can, like a little trash, like a trash can that you would have in your bathroom or something. One side of my hair filled up the trash can, and that was when I almost lost it. And that was when I kind of started to regret my decision, like in the moment, because I was like, that was another thing, was like, I felt another thing that like had brought me to that point of frustration with my hair was like, I felt like it wasn't growing fast enough. I felt like it wasn't long enough. You know, I felt like it should be like, you know, mid back by now. It should be waist length by now, because that's what like all the other girls on YouTube, like that's where their hair is. You know what I'm saying? And then half of my head filled up a trash can. That was a humbling moment for me. That was a teaching moment for me, because in that moment, it really like showed me that I didn't truly understand what I even had going on my head. I didn't really appreciate even what I already had on my head. Because I literally thought that like my hair was short and that I had no hair. And it took me cutting all of it off and it taking 3 hours and 2 trash cans full of hair for me to be like, oh, like I actually did have a lot of hair. So it's crazy how it was an immediate lesson in my confidence, my insecurities. It really like made me, for lack of a better word, like look in the mirror and be like, you are like, you have some stuff to like deal with. You have some stuff to like work out with yourself. And it's been a really dope journey ever since. You know, another reason that I cut it off, in relation to like the revolution, it sounds very like silly and like cliche, but you know, just like European standards of beauty, for lack of a better way to put it. Even at that time, there was like a petition going around for the Crown Act, which I'll make sure that I put down below. But, you know, they had just passed a law saying that like people with dreadlocks, like, you know, could be discriminated against when interviewing for a job, or, you know, the concept that like our hair, even like recently with the Olympics, you know, large swim caps have been banned because like no one would ever need a swim cap that big. And it's like, I can't even fit a ball cap on my head anymore. Like the way that Black people's hair is like weaponized, and the way that Black people's hair is discriminated against and used as a tool of oppression against us, like really had me heated that day. I mean, it still would have me heated to this day, but it was just like, no, all of that. Like, I am cutting off all of my hair and I'm going to let it grow in wild and free. And it's funny, like, even, you know, certain relatives that I've engaged with since I cut it, you know, if it's kind of just like doing its own thing and looking however it wants to look, they'll be like, like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? And that like my natural state isn't presentable. Like my natural state isn't okay. And I just wanted to like fight against all of that. It's been so empowering. It's been such an empowering journey. It's really taught me how to love myself. Like there's nothing like having no hair on your head and no makeup on and looking at yourself first thing in the morning, you know what I'm saying? And being like, I love you, Jasmine. Like, I feel like I've been doing a lot of mirror work the past year. There's a woman named Louise Hay, and she's really big on like affirmations. Well, I think Louise actually is no longer with us, but her work was really about like affirming yourself and speaking over your life and doing mirror work, like talking to yourself in the mirror and telling yourself in the mirror and looking in your own eyes and saying the things that you need to hear. And I was able to implement so much of that work with my hair. It's like, I didn't love my hair before. I didn't. There's no way that I could have, because I never saw it, you know? And so that kind of coupled, so the mirror work kind of coupled with my hair growing back, has really taught me how to better love myself in all of my beautiful forms. And at every stage, you know, it was something new and it was something different. You know, I'm still honestly figuring it out. It's been a lesson in self-love, and it was something that I needed. It was the pathway that I took to self-love. I want to reiterate that Black women should be able to do whatever it is that Black women want to do. And I'm not here for like the divisiveness of like natural versus perm versus curly versus straight versus wigs versus weaves. Like, Black women can do what they want, especially with their own hair. But this was just like my path, my journey, my experience that I had. And I'm so grateful for it. Cutting off my hair, it literally made me a new woman. I feel like if anything, I almost had like a boost of self-confidence instantly, because like I cut it off and I was like, ooh, I still look kind of good, you know? So if anything, it like really increased my self-confidence. I'd say another thing that I really learned from my short hair journey, my big chop journey, was how to better take care of myself. I think something that deters a lot of Black women from dealing with their own hair, I mean, I can't speak for all of us, but this is just an observance, but is that it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of brain power. It takes a lot of physical effort to tend to your mane. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not for the faint of heart. You know what I'm saying? That you have to figure out what works for you. I think I figured out that for the most part, I'm a lazy natural, but I don't even like that term. I think it's just more so that I figured out that my hair really flourishes when I kind of just leave it alone, which is pretty much what I've done for the past year. But the thing about it is, like, it still has to be washed. It still has to be refreshed with water. It still needs, you know, a little butter on it. It still needs some oils on the scalp. It needs an oil massage, you know, from time to time. I still had to learn about it and take my time to, I don't know what my porosity is, and I don't know even what I think apparently we've even canceled like textures, like hair types and stuff. And I've never been like super attached to that type of stuff. I've never necessarily found it helpful for me. But I did have to learn her, you know what I'm saying, in her uniqueness. And I had to tell her that I loved her, and I had to tell her that I was doing a good job. Like, cutting my hair really helped me see how many like negative things I actually thought about my hair. Like, me taking the time to like build her up and encourage her made me realize how often I was like putting her down in my mind. It's like, oh, no wonder she wasn't growing in the way that I wanted her to. You know what I'm saying? No wonder, you know, my ends didn't look how I wanted them to. It's like I wasn't showing my hair any love. And so I think that's like the main point that I want to drive home about like anything that you do with your hair. Still make sure to show it love. But it really has taught me how to better take care of myself, because it's like, well, damn, if I need a whole day dedicated to if it looks like the lighting is different, that's because it is. My battery died. That led me to getting a little dinner, which I now realize I had a hunger headache. I had a headache like half the day, and I realize now I was just hungry, which I think even circles me back to the point that I was making, which is how my hair has taught me to love myself and take care of myself. Just like my hair needs water, I need water. Just like my hair needs extra attention via deep condition or a particular treatment, so do I. Like, if I have a whole day dedicated to taking care of my hair, which wash day essentially is the majority of a day, taking care of my hair, why wouldn't I have the majority of a day to take care of myself? I've learned so much from hair and plants, I swear. Like, I have learned so much about life and myself, and in the process of taking care of other things that grow, it's really helped me to better, to have better intentions around my own growth. In the words of the prophetess India Irie, I am not my hair. I am not this skin. I'm sorry. How do you say I am not my hair and not like sing that song? I don't know how you do it. That's pretty much all I had to say, at least for now, about this beautiful journey that has been falling in love with my hair, which has led to me falling in love with myself. Self-love is like a lifetime journey, at least for me. That's something that I've really been unpacking via reflection and therapy and self-therapy and journaling and things of that nature, learning more about myself these past couple of years. And yet I've been challenging myself to put what I've learned into practice. And ultimately, me doing the big chop was me being like, no, I refuse to not love myself. Regardless of my state, you know what I'm saying? I refuse to not challenge myself in the space of love, you know what I mean? It was that serious for me, and I'm so glad that I did it. I want to take a second too to just like thank every Black woman who has ever cut their hair short, whether you were on the 90s vibe, the Monica with the little perm slicked down, or whether you were a part of the community on YouTube who cut your hair back in the 2011, 2010, 2013 era, or whether you just cut your hair recently. Like, I really did call on the strength I really did call on the strength of like every Black woman that I have seen before me cut their hair, and every woman that I ever had a conversation with who encouraged me to do it. I thank you all, because I'm not even kidding. Like, I couldn't have done it if I hadn't seen so many beautiful Black women with so many different types of hair. I dedicate this video to you all. I'm so grateful for this journey. I really am. It has been life-changing for me in the best way. And I'm so proud of my crown. Because the kind of like major undertone of this video was self-care and self-love, let me know down below, like, what was the first time that you like really fell in love with your hair, or not? Tell me about like a certain time you thought about cutting your hair. If you've cut your hair before, let me know what led you to cutting your hair. If you are still short, if you have been growing it out, if you cut your hair during 2020, please let me know. I would really love to know all of your experiences. And I think that's all I got for y'all today. Make sure that if you enjoyed this video that you like it, comment, subscribe. I want to interact with everyone. I want to engage with people. I don't want to just be talking to this lens, this Carl Zeiss lens. I'm so grateful that you decided to spend your morning, evening, afternoon, couple of moments with me. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video, whenever that is.